Hey, how's everybody doing? Thursday night means it's time for Shop Talk, so stick around after this message from our lovely sponsor. We do have a great sponsor for this show. Really, really cool. That would be Haven Comics. Haven Comics. Yeah, we're repping because we hear they're pretty awesome. So you should get by there if you haven't. Um, cool people, great comics, fun conversation, a lot of laughing because I think we generally think we're probably smarter than we're funnier than we are, but we laugh about it nonetheless. Speaking of funny things, what's up, brother?
Oh, what's going on? I just noticed my glasses have got like a serious glare. I can still
Yeah.
see if I do this. Um, so I do want to start out by saying Friday I decided to go live just like randomly. I know you and I had kind of talked about it,
Yeah.
and I cannot believe how many people watched that video. Last time I looked, I mean, just this random 15-minute live, or not even maybe even 10-minute live stream had like 30 views. Thank you if you watched it. I was kind of
Indeed.
surprised.
Yeah, and we've crossed that threshold of 600 subscribers. We're at like 602.
Yeah, I know. I was excited about that too. So it's starting to climb again.
Yep, yep. And the uh, the short you did last time, your Friday walk in and grab a book short,
Yep.
that was a fun one too. That one got a lot of views.
Yeah, I was surprised on that one. Because I don't know, I was just kind of surprised. It's really the shorts are weird because when I was doing those all the time, the ones that I thought would go over really well would only get like maybe 10 or 15 views. And then some random short of a horror comic would have like 1,500 views. It was just bizarre.
Well, like that TMNT statue we've got up at the shop that y'all did that first real quick video of. That thing's at like 3,100 people.
Yeah. Yeah, the shorts are the shorts are kind of weird. I started backing off of the shorts simply because it seemed like that was what was generating all of our subscriptions, and I kind of wanted to, that's what YouTube was pushing was our shorts, and I was like, well, wait a minute, we're more than just shorts. We would like more people on during the live streams and stuff, and if not, catch people's attention to watch the live stream after the fact.
Yeah, we're more than shorts. We're more like jams.
Yeah, really. We're not shorts. We're knee knockers.
Just throw you back to 1984 right there.
Really.
I got some
Um,
shirts with some puff paint.
so I do have to ask because it is not Friday and I have not been to the shop yet.
Mm-hmm.
Have you read Red Coat 2?
Let me think. Uh-huh.
My question is it a solid follow up to the first issue?
Heck yes, it is.
All right, awesome. I cannot wait. I'll be
No,
I'll be
no,
snatching a hold of that yesterday. I
it
mean yesterday tomorrow.
absolutely is. It answers some questions and leaves you wanting more. It's really irritating that way. But yeah, it's very good. Geiger number 2 was very good. GI Joe 306. I can't wait for you to read.
Yeah, I've actually got Geiger 2 over here in my stack. I really enjoyed that first little bit of Geiger where he goes to basically hunt the wild hogs. So you got that nice little bit of foreshadowing of what was going to happen at the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
I like the way that was tied together. I thought that was really smart.
Well, there was also the imagery there where it reflected back to his own family, right?
Yep.
Um, the mom and the kids are in the bunker, but the dad is out here in the wasteland and dead.
Oh, speaking of Geiger, I saw it today, and I think final order cutoff is in the next day or two for issue 3.
That'll be Sunday.
That'll be Sunday. Have you seen the B cover for issue 3?
I don't think so.
If you can get me a copy of the B cover, that would be awesome.
Yeah, no problem.
It's just one of those. I'll pull it up right quick. It's not, I don't know. Some people might look at it and just be like, well, that's not that big of a deal. But it was one of those covers that I saw it and I just thought it just looked amazing. And I was like, okay, I've got to get that.
I have a question for you while you're looking that up.
All right.
Where's Tots? I don't have a "Hey you guys" in the comments at all, and I'm not digging that.
I don't know. That is strange for him not to be around.
He usually at least leaves us a preemptory like "Hey you guys," and we don't have one. It's sad.
Let me do this. That's not going to be a good showing of it. I've already got it pulled up on Instagram, but let me go to here.
Speaking of Instagram, why did Nick tell us that we should go and check our Instagram chats? I don't have Instagram.
That was me telling them they need to go check their Instagram.
That was you. Oh, okay. I don't have Instagram. Why do we need to check Instagram chats?
No, I left them little goobs something on there.
Oh, fair enough.
Ooh, let's see. Come on, where you at? So, I'll share my screen right quick. Is that Duke? It's kind of blurry. We're going to get to Duke here in just a minute. Yeah. From the little pack things?
Yep. They're actually really cool, and the stand for the comics is pretty cool, too.
What are you doing? Get off there. I don't want you on. No, I don't want you on there. Get off my screen.
Fine.
All right, so that right there is the A cup. Not you, Josh, the stupid ad. That's the A cover. That's
I like that. I love that one, actually. I do remember that one.
Yeah, that is a great cover, but for some reason, I saw this and fell in love with that cover. That's the B cover.
All right. I can get that for you.
Maybe it's just because it's like the old horror movie vibe.
It definitely has an old school vibe, yeah.
Almost like the late 60s and early 70s spaghetti westerns, that style.
Yep.
And for some reason, I do like those probably a little more than I should.
Go back to that A cover because I wanted to. When I first looked at that, I'm really excited for that one to come out because I'm confident that
hang on.
There's a lot of Easter eggs with the titles of those books.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. If you just kind of looked at them.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting my hands on that so I can dig into it and see what they're showing on there and all that stuff. Because that will be exciting.
Yeah, that was it. They were only doing 2 covers for it.
Yeah, that's part of their deal is they've told retailers they're not going to bombard us with covers.
That's good.
I so appreciate that. I wish there was just 1, but 2 isn't so bad.
I liked it when what was the artist that was doing the Batgirl covers, Middleton?
Joshua Middleton, yeah.
Yeah. I liked it when they gave y'all enough fair warning that when you were able to go on Facebook and say, hey, here's the Josh Middleton cover. If you want this cover, let us know now.
Oh, yeah.
Because, that was great because it gave us a chance to see it. Then we could make a decision, which those Batgirl covers that he was doing, if somebody didn't want those covers, there was something wrong with them.
Oh, they were exquisite. They were absolutely gorgeous. 100%.
So you showed Duke, and I'm going to be honest right up front. My reading right now is so all over the place and out of order, it's not even funny. You know when I told you that I didn't have Duke issue 3 and you ordered me I think it was a second printing of it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when I was going through stuff after I'd already read the second printing, I found my copy of issue 3. That's just how it goes.
Of course.
But so I am completely caught up on Duke now. I love what they've done with that story.
Mm-hmm.
I love the way they are presenting Baroness.
Agreed.
Baroness, that character is finally getting the justice that she deserves because she's a great character to begin with.
I like the characterization of her, the way they are showing her. She's kind of, it's almost like she's a wild animal, right?
Yep.
It's not that she's good. It's not that she's evil. She's just untamable. And she's going to do what she's going to do.
Now, was it just me or did, especially there when she was, I think they were in the plane and, or they were breaking out during the fight and she disappeared. Then she turns back around and she's zipping the suit up and she's got the gun on him. To me, it was kind of coming across like she was their version of Black Widow at that point.
Yes.
So I hope, I like what they did there, but I hope they don't explore that any further.
Agreed. I don't think they will.
Yeah, because that character is just so good by itself. The only thing that I did not like about Duke was in the final issue when he wakes up and they've got his head shaved again and he looks just like the other military personnel. That whole long-haired, grungy, dirty, angry looking Duke, I loved that. That was great that they had all throughout there.
I will say, as a character, and this may be anathema to a lot of G.I. Joe fans, and that's okay. Duke has always been one of my least favorite, and I've never understood why everybody loved him so much. I remember he was a mail away character when we were kids. You had to save the flag points off your other characters and send them in the mail to Hasbro to get them to send you a Duke figure, just like the Hooded Cobra Commander, right?
Yep.
And I mailed off for this guy, and I got him, and I was like, why did I do that? I don't care about this dude. I don't know why. I never connected with Duke. I never liked him particularly well. He was just always like cardboard or vanilla. He never had any flavor. And this series, I will give Josh Middleton or Josh Williamson credit. I like this Duke. I'm interested in this Duke. He has a personality.
Yeah, the Duke that we grew up with, as weird as it sounds, even though he was the leader, he always seemed like a supporting character.
Yeah.
This Duke in this miniseries that we just read, he's not a supporting character. He's a leading man. Yep. I mean, you can actually picture this guy going on to lead the Joes.
Yes.
In the cartoons and stuff, with us growing up, to me, it always felt like all the charisma and the one that you should be watching was Flint.
Agreed.
So I'm hoping that we still get that same style Flint when they, really and truly do bring him into it.
They'll butt heads something fierce, and that could be great.
And that could be awesome. I mean, it really could be. But yeah, this version of Duke, I understand. Yeah, he's going. Basically, they're putting him back active and everything. So naturally, the head's going to be shaved and down low and all that. But like I said, that whole long hair, don't care attitude, I'm going to do what has to be done. That Duke was friggin' awesome.
I hope they keep that personality with him and he doesn't become a mother hen.
Yeah.
I really, really do. I hope he stays the kind of high risk, high reward kind of a guy. Like, I'm going to go for it and we're going to figure out a way we're going to do it, as opposed to the good job, men. Let us keep going. Save that citizen. Yeah, no, I like this characterization of Duke. I like this characterization of Baroness really well. I've dug all the characters they've introduced in Duke. Um, Again, I find it so strange that Duke is so on target with what appeals to me, and the Cobra Commander series has been so weird.
It
Uh,
really has. I was looking to see if I brought something with me, and
it
apparently,
certainly got better,
up.
like less. The further it gets away from Cobra Law, the better I like it.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I thought that was very weird. I think it was last week that the final order cutoff for Scarlet #1 was last week, and the demand on that, from what I have heard, has been very high.
I saw, was it on Instagram that I saw this? Let me check Instagram.
Gotta check the Instagram, yeah, Instagram.
I don't know if it's supposed to be. No, it wasn't Instagram. Somebody had posted a picture of what looked like might be Scarlet #1.
I mean, we've seen the covers for Scarlet #1.
Yeah, but see, I hadn't seen this one though.
It might be a store exclusive,
It might be.
or it might be one of the ratio variants or something.
You know what? I'll just go back to League of Comic Geeks.
Just go back to League of Comics.
I'm just going to go there. One stop shopping.
Just go back. What's Google going to tell you? You weren't even looking on Google, were you?
No, I wasn't. I was on Instagram.
Yeah, see, that's fool's errand.
Okay. What? Yeah, this isn't showing any variants.
Try Google.
Oh, never mind. That was the trade paperback.
What was?
Trade paper. What I pulled up was actually the upcoming trade paperback for when they do that.
And that's not what you were looking for, or it was what you were looking for, but you're disappointed because you just discovered it was the trade paperback?
No, I'm disappointed because I just discovered it was the trade paperback.
Got it. So you will be able to get it.
Because
you know you need all of these trade paperbacks too.
This one right here, I don't know what I thought when I saw this cover. It's cool looking. It's kind of childish. It was different looking.
Yeah, I don't care for it.
Yeah, I mean, I like the art style, but
it's got a cartoony look that I don't care for.
Yeah, everything about it screamed 80s to me.
Yeah.
So I think maybe that's why I was kind of, that's not too bad.
Now, see, flip over to the cover that's in the background there.
I think that's the main cover.
That's the cover I like. Yeah, that one. I like that. I don't like the way they've suddenly made her all freckly, which I know a lot of redheads are freckled.
Yeah.
But she never has been, but suddenly she is. That's weird.
Now, I like that one of her. Just
I like that costume. That's a better costume than that old weird, like I'm wearing a jumpsuit kind of deal. That's more like the movie costume, but it's still good.
Yeah, the movie costume wasn't bad. And the girl that they got to play her in the movie, I mean, she was believable as Scarlet, but that Energon universe cover with Baroness,
yep,
this one kind of complements that.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know how a good Baroness. Oh wow.
Yep.
You know how a good Baroness cover and a good Scarlet cover, they just go together like bacon and eggs. You know that.
Peanut butter and jelly. That is the 616 Comics exclusive. That one's not too bad.
Back on the motorcycle. Yeah, old school.
That one's cool.
I dig it.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. That is looks like the Dallas Fan Expo. Now this one, I like this one too.
Yeah, it's got Jinx.
Yep. All right, and then we'll just have to wait and see on those. Yeah, I don't have mine with me. So, 2 comic books. I've got my stack out.
Yep.
Actually, let's start with this right quick.
All right. What you got?
Finally read Batman First Night, issue 2.
I told you.
So, right off the bat, no pun intended, for when Tots finally does watch this and he starts making fun of me for saying that, I've never been real big on when they drew these period piece styles of Batman. But this version of Batman for this era, I love the way he looks.
That's because when they draw it, they normally draw it with that design, but not with period specific materials.
Yeah.
He draws it with period specific materials. Like this was the top end best you could do back in that time period. And that's why it looks that way. And that's why it works.
That particular shot of him right there.
Yep.
That was absolute perfection. Another panel that I loved was when it actually showed us a panel of him slipping on the brass knuckles, getting ready to fight. I thought that was great.
Yep.
But my big takeaway from this book right here would probably be Julia and Sparky. I thought, yeah, we know what's fixing to happen there.
Yeah.
We know what's fixing to happen there. I've enjoyed this a lot more than what I thought I would. It's been really good. I've loved the art style. The story has been good. Oh, wow.
Do you like this or better than this? What do you think?
Yeah, really. Who do you think the main villain's going to end up being?
You know, I don't know. I haven't really speculated on it. I've just really enjoyed the ride.
I hadn't thought about it until today. And the way everything has set up on it and, you know, like the era and all that stuff, what they're doing, the gangs, the depression, you know, the shanties, everything. I really hope that the villain is one of 2 people. One would either be Penguin, just because of the whole gangster aspect of it.
Yep, that would be great.
But I think Penguin is a little bit too easy. So I would really like it if it was Scarface.
Well, that would be a twist.
Yeah. I mean, give us something completely and totally different.
I was wondering if it might be somebody like Hugo Strange or something kind of off the wall that way, but
that would be cool. Now, these 2 books actually go together.
Okay.
These are top shelf books, so we might have a little bit of a not safe for work conversation for a second, but at the same time, you and I have always been real good at dancing around the issue on those.
Right.
These flew under my radar. I think this was one where you just signed me up for them and threw them in my box.
I'm going to plead Urkel here. Would I do that?
Somebody did it. I don't know who did it, but The White Trees of Black Sandtail.
Oh, yeah, the 2 Chip Zdarsky books.
Yeah, and then The Whisper Queen.
Yeah.
Dude, these were freaking amazing. I mean, there were some parts that were kind of weird.
Oh, for sure. I think he wrote those a long time ago and he was still figuring some stuff out. Because I know that they were published a while back, but just absolutely flew under everyone's radar. And then they came back and said, hey, everybody likes this guy now. Maybe this is good stuff. And people just didn't realize it before. So people are like, okay, let's try it. So I picked it up to give it a shot.
So this one right here, I was reading it and I'm like, okay, this is really cool and everything. Then you get those weird few panels where the wood nymphs or spirits or whatever they are trying to seduce our 3 heroes.
Mm-hmm.
And that one that was trying to seduce, I'm going to butcher his name, but Cryos,
Mm-hmm.
where he's literally just standing there frozen, and she says something like, there's no ember to fan, there's only resolve and sadness. And you see just the look on his face. That was where he got me. That's where I was like, oh, I've got to see this through to the end no matter what. And the way that it ended was, the best word I can think of is bittersweet.
Yes.
I mean, it was literally the perfect ending for that particular character.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you're sitting there reading it going, no, it can't end. We've got to have more of this person. One person that I thought of when I read both of these that I think would like them would be Tots.
I agree with that.
That Tots, when you watch this, if you watch this, I highly suggest you pick these up. Don't let Munchkin get anywhere near them, because it's nothing
Overt.
Yeah, it's nothing overt. It does fit the story in a way, so that's why I'm cool with it. If it was something that was done for, things that were done for pure shock value, that stuff I don't like. But the way it's just woven into the story, I thought is really good. But the whole premise is, we have our three heroes, and we'll go ahead and do a premise right quick for
There
those
we go.
that don't know what we're talking about. We have our three heroes right here that they all fought in this massive war for the king years before. And it literally picks up with our three heroes being called into the king's, basically the kingdom, to go before the king. It starts off a little weird on the aspect of, you'll think that you've picked up in the middle of the story.
Yes.
You're almost like, did I miss something? I actually had to jump on the Google machine to make sure that I didn't miss something. But they find out that basically the big bad is on the move again, and they're like, look, we don't fight wars anymore. And the king tells them, your kids have been kidnapped. And that's literally where they start. Our main character of this book, Cryos, is, the king tells them, I forbid you to do anything. We'll take care of it. And Cryos just turns around and walks off. And the other two are like, hey, no, look, we're leaving at this time. And Cryos is basically, the king said he'll take care of it. Well, the next morning when they get ready to leave, they walk out the door and Cryos is loaded up and he's ready to go. And it's literally about them basically going to get their kids back. Now, they do refer to them as kids, but they're really not kids. They're more, I would say, late teens, early 20s, somewhere right around in there. It's a great book. It's a violent book, but there's so much in this one book that it would not hurt my feelings any if Chip Zdarsky went back and actually told the war stories of the war that they refer to in this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this was very rich and he put a lot of thought into this. And it's one of those, like I said, you start reading it and you automatically think, okay, this is probably the second or third chapter. I've missed something somewhere. There's so much backstory that could be told that it's not even funny. The sequel to it, The Whisper Queen, once again, like I said, we kind of have those little weird moments and everything, but ultimately it lived up as being a sequel. It was really good. We have kind of moved on from the characters in this book, even though they are extremely prevalent in this one, but we don't really and truly see them. We're seeing what's going on while these characters are doing their thing. And we basically get introduced to an assassin that I don't know what to think about this assassin just yet. I cannot think of her name, but she's definitely an awesome character. If you're wanting something more fantasy oriented and a lot more grown up, I highly, highly recommend The White Trees and The Whisper Queen. And these both came out last week, so I mean they're still on your shelves at your LCS.
Yeah, we still have a couple copies. Yep.
Yeah, and honestly, when I go in tomorrow, I just might throw a couple of copies in Tots' box because that's how. When I read it, he was literally one of the first people that I thought of.
That's fair. That's what I do to you.
I know. I know. Next up, and I don't have a ton. I'm kind of, like I said, I've been kind of all over the place with what I've been reading. Which was Geiger #2, and we've already hit on that. I really like.
Just check out some of the art. Pull up a page or some of the art. That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, just brilliant.
And the more this Nuclear Knight is
I know.
And talking and stuff,
Uh,
I know on some level he's meant to get on your nerves.
uh-huh.
But honestly, the more they go with that character, the more I feel sorry for him.
Yeah, but you kind of start to like him.
Yeah.
And then you start to sympathize with him. And it's like, come on, man, don't make me like this dude.
I mean, on some level, he's also the kid that's on an adventure with his hero.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It just works. But I was trying to. Here's another good one without kind of giving anything away. I can hold it up some. Just the level of detail that they're putting into this, art-wise, has been great. Oh, and this might answer the question to why you got that random text message the other night.
Already ordered.
Thank you, sir.
Got some ghost roast coffee on the way.
I do love a good cup of coffee. Next up on my list, actually the next two on my list.
I think we will require a picture of you drinking your ghost roast coffee with the bag prominently placed and you reading Geiger or Rook or something. Like as an erudite intellectual on a Saturday morning or Sunday morning. Yes.
I seriously
make sure the pinky's out.
Ordering a Ghost Machine coffee mug off of their website just for the photo.
I like it.
I know these next two comics are going to be a massive shock that they would show up on this show. But we've got AWA Studios' Little Black Book.
I'm shocked.
Absolutely. I believe this was issue 2. No, this was issue 3.
Number 3.
3. Yeah, at the end of 2, you're all excited that Dad showed back up. But halfway through 3, you're like, I don't know if that's really a good thing.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it looks like it's going to be going south is what it looks like.
It's only a 4-issue series. It's been really good. I have thoroughly enjoyed it, but issue 4 is shaping up to be a flat out bloodbath.
Yep.
I mean, it's going to be all out in every single direction. And here's where this book kind of confuses me a little bit. There's no clear-cut person to actually root for.
No.
Because Dad is obviously not a good person, never has been.
Mm-hmm.
The people that he works for never have been. The people that work for them never have been. The decision that his son made in issue 1, he's really and truly not that good of a person either.
So it's like you're looking at a whole bunch of irredeemable, unsympathetic characters and kind of want them all to blow up, but you kind of want them not to.
Yeah, so the thing with Dad showing up at the end of it straight up reminded me of the movie Frequency.
Yes. I love that movie.
That's such a good movie. And
such a good movie.
On a personal note, every time I watch that movie, I cry.
Well, how can you not?
Yeah,
you're only human.
If you don't cry at the I'm still here, Chief scene, you don't have a heart, period.
Yep.
But it reminded me of that, but then you get into issue 3, and that's when it really hits you that there's no good guy in this scenario.
Mm-hmm.
There's no one to root for. And you kind of you want to keep going to see how this train finally derails and completely wrecks.
Yep.
I mean, because that's literally all of their lives. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to issue 4. I mean, it's once again, AWA does no wrong. I mean, it's everything they put out is solid from beginning to end. Next up, another big shocker. This
The
one is
only thing they don't do well is come on our show.
yeah, really. This one is Mad Cave Studios, and this is The Devil That Wears My Face, issue 6.
I haven't read that one yet. I'm behind.
You have not read this one yet?
No, but that's okay.
It has a very fitting end. I love the end. There is the one thing that I actually wanted to talk about this book. I can't talk about it now because you haven't read it, because it is a major twist.
That's okay. Go for it. I'm going to read it regardless.
So, Father Very is actually Jewish.
What?
That's what I was like. Was that a typo? Did I read that wrong? Are they? Yeah. Father Very was adopted, and he's actually Jewish. And that's another reason why he is so good at what he does. And
yeah,
the whole thing on that is there is a scene where it shows where he's basically being adopted by the church. And you're led to believe that the reason why he was adopted by the church is because as a small child, he was possessed and the parents and no one could save him.
Wow.
It's so good. I mean, that by issue 6, you're looking for closure. You're looking for, it's the last issue in the series. It's like all other series. Hey, we're getting here at the end. We're going to close this story out. I hope they end it the right way. Pepos was straight throwing curveballs still in issue 6.
Love it.
The end, I mean, it was almost like Pepos goes, I'm about to show their asses something. We're going somewhere with this one. And he kept going. And after, finally finishing this series, and you're going to laugh at me for this, but I'm just going to be honest. There's one scene, and it was actually, I believe it was issue 5. There's one particular panel where Very and his name just left me. The guy that Very was actually possessing.
Yes. Yeah.
Where Father Very has helped him through his own personal hell, and now they're on the same page and they're going to fight back. And when they decide they're going to fight back, you see that next panel, and he's kind of standing there like this, and he's got a sword in his hand.
I remember that.
That panel, for whatever reason, I thought, I want to see Pepos write a pirate adventure.
I get that.
The way that was written, the art, the direction, everything, I think he could kill it with a pirate adventure.
I'd love to read that. I like a good pirate book, and we know that Dustin Ellis does too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and this was... this right here is another reason why we need to get Mark London back on from Mad Cave, because I've read a ton of Mad Cave books. You've read a ton of Mad Cave books. This one right here to me was really and truly their first deep dive into horror, like
100%.
Horror, and they crushed it. I mean, knocked it out of the park. Hey, look, Mark loves me. But this was so good, and it was creepy. It had that
exorcist. It carried the tension. It had the mood. It made you nervous.
Yes.
It had moments of levity. It was fantastic. I really, really enjoyed that book, and I've still got to finish that last issue. But no, I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, it's really good. And then when you actually see the ending of it, you'll truly understand why I say it's a fitting ending.
Love it.
I mean, you're kind of, on one hand, you're like, I want more, but on another hand, you're like, this is perfect. This is the way it should have ended.
Yeah, I
Really
think,
good.
and one thing that's we haven't talked about a whole lot there is the art on that book has been spectacular.
Oh yeah.
Start to finish, that art is great. The covers match the interiors uh, for style and all that. The colorist really did a number on this, just made it very moody. Uh, it's got a lot of cool stuff going on. It's a great, great book. Really, really dig it.
Oh, let me tell you what, this one right here, yeah, that's good stuff. I'm not going to ruin that part for you.
Well, I'm excited to finish that series out.
Yeah, I was. That was one of those books that when I finished reading it, I was like, I'm done for the night. I can't read anything else tonight. Nothing's going to live up to what I just read. Which kind of leads me to the next book, which
Uh-oh.
is the final book that I wanted to talk about. And I read this book and I went into this book not wanting to like it.
Okay.
I went into this book because I wanted to pick it apart.
All right.
I wanted to sit here and be able to tell whoever watches this video, everybody's wrong, and this is why they are wrong. But when I finished the book, I couldn't read anything else that night because I had read Utter Perfection. And that made me mad. And I hate myself and I hate you now for how much I enjoyed Ultimate Spider-Man #1.
Okay, I feel we do need to talk about this because how good is that book?
So I've read issues 1 and 2. I've read those two. I hadn't read 3 and 4 yet. That's why I had actually on the Instagram chat, I had sent Nick and Dustin a link, and I was hoping Nick would jump on because I knew that he recently read this also. Because I would like to, all joking aside, Nick is the only person I've known that has literally read every single issue straight through.
Yep.
And I basically from the historical aspect of what all he's seen with these characters, what his thoughts are on this. You know, would this be a more worthy successor than what we're getting now? Here are my things on it. I love the fact that, you know, he is 35.
Yep.
The kids are running around. We've got a bearded Peter Parker. I mean, we've got the family, man. Him and MJ that's the relationship that we've wanted to see from them for years.
Yep.
I loved that. I thought that was great. This bizarre bromance between Uncle Ben and J. Jonah Jameson.
That's what I was just about to ask you about, what you think about that relationship, because I love it.
I like the way Hickman has done that for the simple fact of, yes, we've never seen that before, but it feels natural, and you get the sense that these two men have been friends for years.
Yep. Decades.
I mean, they are a perfect fit for this, you know, best friend relationship. And part of me wants to say you can see the beginnings of good cop, bad cop. But the problem is, ultimately, I think it's going to end up being bad cop, worse cop.
Oh, yeah.
Especially after issue 2. I mean, who would have ever... I mean, yeah, you had the bar scene in issue 1 and everything where they're sitting in the club and, you know, they're having a beer after they've just quit their jobs on a whim and all that. But then in issue 2, both men are like kicked back in a gym sauna, wrapped in towels, and pretty much two old men are how they're going to take on the world, is what it literally come down to. I thought it was great. I was really trying to figure out how they were going to lead up to him becoming Spider-Man. And I thought the way that Hickman wrote that and did that, I thought it was really good. I mean, as much as I hate to say it, I was thoroughly impressed with this comic book from beginning to end, and I did not want to like it just because I did not like Ultimate Invasion.
Now, in issue number 2, where he is Spider-Man and he meets his first villain,
Shocker.
how much did you love the way that all went down multiple times?
The way that was written was great, because as a reader, you're sitting there going, don't do it. Don't do it. We've all been here before. But then you have to realize he's never been there before. This Peter Parker Spider-Man, this is brand new to him. I like the fact that the reader knew what was fixing to happen, but our hero didn't. I just thought that was just great the way it was written.
I thought it was great, and I love that it happened again. He got him again.
Yeah.
Oh, that cracked me up. I just thought that was brilliant. That was fun in a way that Jonathan Hickman is normally not real fun. Jonathan Hickman is normally like, he tells the big, convoluted, serious stories, and he can inject a little humor every now and again, but he's not known for fun. And that issue was just fun. The third issue is fun and then introduces a little bit of mystery. And then the fourth issue, almost all of it, 90+% of it, 95+% of it, all takes place as a conversation between two couples at a dinner.
Okay.
And it's just not what you would expect at all. It's very strange. It sets up a lot of interesting stuff. But you need to read issue 3 before you get into issue 4. Because it sets some things up.
I think one of the reasons.
Kyle, hey, what's up, Kyle? What's up?
I think one of the reasons why. Well, I mean, I don't think. I know one of the reasons why I liked it so much was it's so family centered when it comes to Peter and MJ and the kids. That's why I liked Renew Your Vows so much.
Mm-hmm.
It was all about the family aspect of it. I mean, it was all about MJ and Peter and Annie Mae Parker.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this one has been just as good. We've got, Richard and May, but it's still the fact that in the second issue where May is talking about basically this man, it scares her the way he looks and everything. And then she realizes it's her daddy. And then he's like, I never meant to scare her. And then she leaves him the little note with the colored spider. And it's the colors that we know Spider-Man to become. I just thought that was just great the way all of it was tied together.
I loved it. I love, it might be in issue 3. Probably is. There's a whole scene where he's trying different looks because he can just tell the suit what to look like, and he's doing it for her, and she's like, no, that one looks dumb. And he does the Scarlet Spider Ben Reilly look,
yeah,
and she's like, no, that looks old and dumb. It was fantastic.
That comment right there, 100% agree with Nick. It just felt right again.
Yeah. But no, I really enjoyed it. I the minute I read it, I was desperate for you guys to read it. And I get all the reasons you didn't like Ultimate Invasion. I 100% get that. It was a convoluted mess. Like, I could see what was going on in it. It's kind of like Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, right? It was a terrible movie.
Yeah.
Objectively. But what it did was it set up everything that had to happen after. It set up Palpatine taking over the Senate and becoming the Emperor. It set all that stuff up. And if you watch it from that perspective, it accomplishes what it was trying to do. It just didn't do it effectively or well. And And Ultimate Invasion, I think, had some of the same issues, though they failed in different ways. Ultimate Invasion was too complex, and it was too much. It engaged the reader at a level that required you to have so much previous knowledge about everything that was happening. Um, and it was a hard sell. It didn't have any heart.
Yeah.
So I really wasn't expecting Ultimate Spider-Man to have heart, and yet it is full of heart, and I love it.
Yeah, it was my whole thing. I mean, everything that you said was spot on with Ultimate Invasion, but Ultimate Invasion fell flat for me because it was like they were trying to cram way too many characters into it in the beginning, especially when you had the whole scene where basically the contingents are all coming together, and you had like the Moon Knight contingent, then you had the Hulk contingent, and you had this and you had that, and it was like, why do we even need all this right now? That's something that we could have gotten into later on down the road.
Yep, I 100% agree. It was trying to do too much in too little space.
Yeah.
Was really what I think the problem was.
Nick, I saw your text message and I was going to look. Yeah, I mean, just check the Two Brothers Comics Instagram chat that we have, just you and I and Dustin, and it's in there.
All right, Nick, I sent you a link on both Facebook Messenger and to your email.
Oh, well, that didn't take no time.
No, I'm good at what I do.
Actually, Kyle, we were trying to get this fool on because of the whole Spider-Man conversation.
Wow, that didn't take any time. There he is.
Can you all hear me?
Yeah. Did you duck out of your daughter's end of school year celebration thing to do this? Or are you on a donut run? He's on a donut run.
Yeah, he's on a donut run.
But no, we'll get back to Ultimate Spider-Man in a second, but I thought it was spectacular. I know you haven't read it yet because this came out this week.
I've heard a lot of people already singing its praises.
Yeah, it's good. Things are shaping up for a huge Royal Rumble between Cobra, Serpentor Khan with Revanche, and then with G.I. Joe. Yep. And it's going to be glorious. But we'll get back to that while we have Nick for a few minutes.
Because
Ultimate Spider-Man.
Because G.I. Joe's cool and all, but Peter Parker, when done right, it's better.
Don't worry. When the G.I. Joe compendium comes out, you're going to get those, buddy.
Is it a compendium or a omnibus?
Yeah, they're pretty much the same thing.
It's a set of 4 compendium. It's 4 compendia coming out, and it's going to capture the original Marvel run issues 1 through 155.
Are they hardcovers or like paperbacks?
They are hardcovers.
I'm sold. If it's hard and covered, I'm a fan.
All right. So
good to know.
What was your thoughts on this version of Mary Jane and Peter Parker?
So this version, to
Ultimate
quote
Spider-Man.
Josh. Yep. So this version, to quote, y'all can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, cool. To quote Josh specifically, it is everything I've ever wanted in a story. It's about as close as we've gotten since like the McFarlane run, where Mary Jane actually loves Peter Parker and is supportive, and Peter Parker's actually trying to be a decent human being, like he is, and not just always dumb and doing dumb stuff and miserable and becoming a billionaire and then all of a sudden having a couch surf for the next however long. I mean, it's literally what everybody's just been asking for. A story where Peter and Mary Jane love each other, where there's conflict between them, but it's relatable. It's not misery. Where it's a decent, where you can tell, like, hey, we love Peter Parker and he's a normal person in comics, but he's happy, like literally, it's everything you could ever want. And honestly, I think what's funny is you hit on it. Is I think my favorite part is, in fact, even though I hate the fact that May's not alive anymore, but Ben and J. Jonah Jameson and them being like the top two dogs at the Bugle, I thought that was hilarious. I think that might have been my favorite part, if I'm honest.
Oh, they were spectacular. I love the introduction of that when you see J. Jonah Jameson doing his classic Parker, but he wasn't yelling at Peter; he was yelling at Ben. I thought that was great.
Yeah, I will tell you though. I mean, I should spoil it because how many things Alan spoiled for me, and Josh, you spoiled for me. But where the couple conversation comes in, at first I was a little upset by it, but as it went on, I was like, no, this is good. Because everybody is equally happy right now. And Mary Jane deserves to be with Peter Parker and be happy.
You're talking about
and I also love, yeah. And I also love the couple conversation. So like I said, at first I was upset by it, but I'm like, I'm a fan. I like this. But yeah, like I said, all in all, I was extraordinarily thrilled. I literally left the shop, went and sat in the car, read it in the parking lot, and I messaged Josh, and he was like, you haven't even read it. I'm like, dude, I've been sitting here the whole time. I never left. But no, like I said, it was, I'm very interested to see how long they will continue it or how quickly they will screw it up and just make it miserable. Because that's the only way I know how to describe like the current or the past 20 years is it's just been misery for Peter Parker every time he turns around. So there's that.
Yeah, I think that's a misunderstanding of the principle of he should be a normal guy with normal problems. Mm-hmm. They were like, we should just beat the ever-loving stew out of him and see how that he treats him. They did the same thing. This is going to sound like a really stupid connection, but they did the same thing to Veronica Mars, right?
I know nothing about her, so
it's a phenomenal show, first of all, but you go through it, and at the very end, they break her heart in just a horrible way. And then they come back and they like, okay, we're starting over. We have one more season that's like 10 years later, whatever. Okay, and it's great. Just don't watch the last 10 minutes of the last episode. Because they absolutely ruin it. They said and the writers even said she has to be miserable. And I'm like, no, she doesn't. That's just you being a bad writer. Characters need to grow.
Yeah.
You don't.
I mean, that's really what it is.
You don't have to make somebody miserable. That's if hey, my lead character is always miserable, then you've already lost the plot. You've already dropped the ball.
Yeah, and
you've already done a terrible job.
Yep.
I think we
talked this Peter Parker's in so.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Nick.
Go ahead. Okay. No. I was saying, so this Peter Parker, I'm gonna cuss on the Family Friendly show.
It's because there's a delay between you and I.
Oh, you're not doing it on purpose?
No, no. There's actually a slight delay between us.
Oh, okay. I thought you were doing it on purpose this whole time.
No, you go and then I'll go.
Okay, it's because I'm over in Meridianville now, and the cell service is awful. But last thing I'll say, and then I'll jump off so you guys can continue about G.I. Joe. But this Peter Parker is relatable, I think, in every way to every audience. Where me, as a father of a small kid, incredibly relatable with a new wife, etc. Or not a new wife, but like a young family. And then, you know, if I was a younger,
you got a new wife.
Like, oh, it's like my dad.
Original wife, no.
No. No, I don't have a new wife.
But I think your original wife would kill you.
Not to be misquoted there, because I'm sure that'll somehow come back to bite me. Probably. um, but but basically, yeah, that was just, I don't know. That was my thoughts. It's like he can be relatable in every scenario to everybody right now. You know, as an older reader, he's relatable. As a younger reader, he can certainly be relatable because he has the kids. The kids can be something you relate to. He's a father figure. I don't know. Like there was nothing at all negative about it. It didn't feel like they hated Peter Parker. It felt happy. It felt joy. It's, you know, there was conflict, but it wasn't misery. You know, there was love and happiness. Like that's all people want. You know, so it's not a hard. I don't know how Marvel messes it up, but it's not a hard thing to figure out. That people just want a happy and loving, and sure conflict, because you wouldn't have a story without conflict, but it doesn't have to be misery. At least not for 20 something years. But it felt nostalgic. I mean, I was sitting here reading it. I'm like, wow, this is like, even though it's only been like a year and a half, but for me, it was like, wow, this is like really nostalgic right now. But I don't know.
But see, that's how Renew Your Vows was for me. There was conflict, but there was no true misery. And the biggest conflict was actually within him because of what he had to do in the beginning of Renew Your Vows. So that's just why that works.
And I've not read it. I'm going to have to. I've not read it, but I'm going to have to wait on it. So, but fellas, I've got to go.
I'm glad that you both read Ultimate Spider-Man because I couldn't see you not loving it. I knew when I read it that it was going to speak to you and it was going to connect with you, and I'm really glad that that's the case because I thought it was phenomenally well done.
It was almost like a religious experience. It was wonderful.
There you go, Jonathan Hickman.
Yeah, quote me on it. All right, I gotta go, gentlemen.
It's just like Jonathan Hickman is like, give me the beat, boys, and free my soul. I want to get lost in your old time Peter Parker and Mary Jane.
That's right. Look, and they even made Mary Jane hot, as like hot as a character, you know, comic book character could be. But like, they didn't make her look frumpy, is what I'm trying to say. Like
I love that. Okay, so she's 35, right? She did her modeling stuff, but she found out she was really good at other things, and so she got out of that. But she still has the looks, but she's doing something else, which I always thought that was kind of like, yeah, she's a model. Well, okay, that was never exciting, but I really like the way that she's a smart character, but they were still true to her past. You know, it's not like they did anything to change her.
Did they say exactly what she does in this?
Do what?
Did they say exactly what she does? What the business is?
It's in the 4th issue.
Okay.
Yeah, she FBGMs.
Do what?
She FBGMs.
Okay.
I don't know what that means, but I'm going to assume it's not good.
It is interesting, though, in the 4th issue, how they reveal how Gwen Stacy dies, but instead of like it's the Green Goblin, you know, it was a Gwen Stacy and Mary Jane kind of thing. But you'll see, Alan. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.
All right, see ya.
Gwen Stacy does not die in the 4th issue. You just now get to meet her in the 4th issue.
Well, you know, I mean, I'm always doing stuff like that to him, so.
You are.
Okay. I guess the reason why I'm asking is, you know, in Renew Your Vows, she had done the modeling thing, and then she went on to own her own clothing store.
Yeah.
So I was kind of wondering, you know, maybe they would do something like that. That would be a nice little nod to Renew Your Vows.
It's similar. In this one, she designed a marketing campaign for something as a model, and it worked really well. And then she was like, somebody else asked her to do it, and she's like, oh, yeah, I can help you with that. And then she just realized she's really, really good at marketing. And so she started her own marketing business, and she's highly successful. Now, let's get back to this.
All right. Is Mooneyham still doing the art?
No.
How is the art?
Well, Paul Pelletier is doing the art, and I've always liked his stuff. I mean, let's okay. Here's some Revanche robotics and stuff, right?
Yep.
Let's find a more actiony sequence.
Is Mooneyham just taking a break, or is he moving on to something else? Do we know?
I honestly do not know. This is how the book opens.
Okay.
Zartan on his swamp speeder beat somebody fired a missile at him. One of my favorite things in this issue is they've got Snake Eyes on one of those like training courses where you're walking through and like people pop up in the windows and you have to shoot the right people and not shoot the wrong people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in Men in Black kind of deal. Yeah. So Snake Eyes is going through it, and one of my favorite bits, if you ever collected the action figures when you were a kid, the cobras that are popping up here are like Easter eggs to so many of the action figures. You've got the Night Viper, you've got the guy, I forget, he kind of had like the lacrosse thing on his arm so he could throw grenades a really long ways. Cobra Dude, you got the Alley Viper, you've got you got the Saw Viper, you got all tons of these guys, and some of them were like they were the drivers that came with vehicles and stuff, right? So just some cool stuff. But at the end of it, you see Scarlet come up and she's like, so tell me, Snake Eyes, have you ever not maxed out the range score? And all of his answers are monosyllabic answers. They're like, nope. Mm-hmm. Like, he can talk, he just doesn't. He's not used to talking. So it's really strange in the few scenes where he does talk. But really, really good issue. And you get to see some characters we haven't seen in a while.
Oh, like who?
Helix.
Okay.
Helix shows up. Muskrat. If you remember Muskrat.
Yep.
Some of these dudes, Wetsuit, you know, it's just some Joes we haven't seen in forever. And here they are. And, I mean, they're playing a pivotal role in the plot. You see some Cobra dudes go by on the Ferret, the four-wheeler with the big gun mounted on the side.
I'm hoping that we get Sherlock back at some point.
I do too. That was a character I did like.
Yeah, especially for it to be, because when they start introducing new characters like that after all these years, I'm kind of, I don't know if I'm gonna like that. But then the way he brought Sherlock into it, I thought was done really well, and I ended up liking that character more than I thought I would.
Look at this cover.
Oh, I know that cover is great. But before we move on to Redcoat, my thing on G.I. Joe right now is, I know he's probably going to inch toward it, but sooner or later, we're going to have a one-on-one between Sean Collins and the original Snake Eyes.
Yeah, he hasn't shown any sign of that, but I think that's got to happen at some point. And if you haven't been reading the letters columns, you should read the letters columns. In this case, for example, I'm just going to show you. You got, and I'll tell you one of the reasons why. So, letters column, page 1.
Mm-hmm.
Pages 2 and 3.
Oh, wow.
Page 4. You got 4 pages of letters, and I'm not going to lie, it's a lot of guys like you and me going, all right, I've been reading this for 300 some odd issues. It's the first time I've ever written a letter, but here's my thoughts. And it's just cool to see other people thinking the same thing and other people asking some smart questions. Uh, the praise for Chris Mooneyham is through the roof, as it should be.
Yep.
So I do hope they bring him back. But I will say, I've always liked Paul Pelletier. He has done some great stuff. Um, I don't know if you remember. Oh God, what was the name of that book? It was a cross-gen book where they had all of characters from all the different books, like from the different races and stuff, the different
Yeah.
worlds, were all gathered in one place, and it was this great escape kind of book where all these people are trying to escape from this interdimensional, intergalactic prison. So it was like a POW movie. Um, I'm sure I'll remember the name at 3 o'clock in the morning. That book was really good, and Paul Pelletier did the art on that, and I loved it. And so it's good to see him back again on something else that I'm digging. But I would absolutely take Chris Mooneyham back in a heartbeat. The Frag Viper, that's the one that has the lacrosse thing that he wears on his arm so he can chuck grenades a really long way. I knew I would think of it eventually.
Yeah, I was trying to look to see if there's any news on Chris Mooneyham, which I did find his Instagram page, and he doesn't have a lot on here, but holy crap.
Have you reached out to invite him onto the show?
Well, I mean, this is the first time I'm starting to look for him, so.
Well, you just got a hold of him. I'm saying, or you just found his stuff. I'm saying, don't make it a love letter, but send the man an invite.
Well, it's looking like he doesn't use Instagram that much. The last time he posted something was 11 weeks ago. I got to show you this. I mean, the man can draw anything.
Oh, cool.
And it's more of a rugged, almost like the Superman, the drunk Superman in the junkyard.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. But I mean, here's him drawing Akira. I mean, that is just amazing. I will definitely try to track him down and see if we can get him on here.
I'd love it.
I'm not seeing any type of Twitter or anything, and that's usually how I can actually get in touch with people.
Now, should we talk about this?
Yes, please do. Tell me all about it.
First of all, this cover is awesome. And you can't really see it until you zoom in on it. But he's kind of cutting his eyes up. Like, uh-oh. You got me. As he's digging his way out of the grave for the umpteenth time. You just get more backstory on him since he's been alive for the second, third, fourth, fifth, however many times. And you've got young Albert Einstein trying to tell him something and him not believing it. And at one point, he gets cut by a blade. Not Einstein, but Simon Pure. He gets cut by a blade, and then that begins to affect him adversely. And come to find out, this particular blade, within 48 hours or 72 hours, I forget which, he will be dead, for real dead, no coming back dead.
Really?
Yeah.
So
it's a matter of, okay, how do I undo that? And I think that's where we're headed going into issue 3. But you meet another immortal character, and that's interesting. That's well done. A lot of fun stuff. If you liked the first issue, you're very much going to like this issue. Uh, I like how he was like, I wasn't born with any particular skill. I was never good at this. I was never good at that. But then I have had, hundreds of years of practice. So at some point you see him like running, jumping, turn around, shooting people, just boom, 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 like out of a John Woo movie or something.
Yeah.
And he's talking about like he's a terrible shot, but after a couple hundred years, you can't help but get better at something. And then the other thing he says later is the other thing he's good at is he's gotten really good at sewing because he's got to keep this uniform ship shape, spick and span because he has to keep repairing it. And you're like, okay, that's kind of funny too. But yeah, really, really well done book.
Okay, like every single artist out there has got a Twitter. Why does Chris Mooneyham not have Twitter?
It's a good question.
Because I'm like literally going to send him a. And here's the thing about it. There's a Chris Mooneyham that has apparently been a broadcaster for the past 20 years for Georgia Tech. And every time you Google Chris Mooneyham, it wants to go to him.
So you have to Google Chris Mooneyham plus G.I. Joe.
Holy crap.
What?
Oh, you got to see this.
What?
It's more Chris Mooneyham, but it's something that somebody has that he did.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's like very modern looking, but with a really old school vibe.
Almost like a...
With a little bit of Judge Dredd thrown in somewhere.
Like the new Warriors movie?
Yeah.
Back in the 70s? Yeah, something along those lines. All right. I'm going to track him down somehow.
Matt Posey in the house. Matt Posey in the house.
Matt Posey. Hang on. You're about to hate me.
Oh, he wants to talk about Blood Hunters. Why haven't you talked about Blood Hunters?
I'll be honest. So, I did my typical. I filmed the Blood Hunters short. And then I promptly took the comic book and put it back on the shelf and forgot to buy it. You have no idea how many times I've done that in the past.
Did you see? He's like, dude, you got to hold it still so you can see it.
So basically what I got here is they're on the top shelf, and you've got the white trees, a black sandtail. This is, when you look at their stuff, this is considered a one-shot. It is a little oversized, really good action adventure story of, from like the realm of fantasy. But then the sequel to it is The Whisper Queen, which is right beside it on the top shelf. It's a normal size issue. And I mean, these are really good issues. And I think that really and truly, there was 3 people that popped in my head that I thought would like these. And that was Tots, you, and Mike Wazlowski.
Yeah, I think Mike Wazlowski would love them. I hadn't thought about that, but you're right.
All were the 3 people that popped in my head as far as who would like that. And the whole thing is they are former warriors that are brought back together after a couple of years off, and they're having to go rescue their late teens, early 20s kids that have been kidnapped. And not all is what it seems. Then we'll just kind of leave it at that. Oh, because I'm recommending more comics, that's why.
Well, obviously.
Yeah.
Now,
this one, you can read this one and kind of get the full story. This one I highly recommend. Yes, this is the sequel to it if you want to keep going to see what happens next. But if you only wanted to pick up the one shot, the main character that you're really and truly reading about in the one shot, the one that you truly care about, you get his story in here. But I do suggest picking up the Whisper Queen and the White Trees. I mean, they were just that good. And I mean, they're both Chip Zdarsky books. You can't go wrong with Chip Zdarsky, no matter who you are.
Now, I also put another book in your box, I believe. Have you seen that one yet?
No, I haven't seen that one yet. What is that?
Crocodile Black. I haven't read it yet, but it looks really interesting, and I'm going to read it later tonight.
Yeah.
I'll let you know what I think.
When did that come out?
This past week, I believe. Maybe the week before. I think it was the week before.
Yeah, that one. I didn't end up with a copy of that. It does look interesting.
It looks very sharp. Looks very sharp. Now I dug something. We got 10 boxes of dollar books on Saturday. 10 long boxes full of dollar books on Saturday. And amongst those, they were the exact same stock that we got for the expo. So I dug through them all. Unlike the expo, I was able to dig through them all this time. And I pulled a book out of there just for you, buddy.
Really?
Yeah, you're gonna need to embiggen me for this.
All right, let's see what we got. Where we at?
This is a book for you, and it's one I doubt you have. It's one that you would not have bought most likely because of what it is, but it has a special guest star, and for $1.
Really? Princess from Gem World? Huh.
But look at this at the top.
Nice.
It's a Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover of Amethyst, but featuring Dr. Fate.
I don't remember that at all.
Well, I rescued this for you because I know what you like.
That is a great cover with her reflecting in his helmet.
Yeah. Hey, what's up from Nebraska?
What up, Blue?
Hey, I don't know if we're legal in all 50 states. Some states are pretty uptight. Of course, we live in Alabama, which is one of the most uptight states. So, there is that. I'd fished this out of there just because, well, it's number one.
Yeah.
Of Next Generation. We've had a couple of Next Generation people at the expo the past couple of years, and I'm betting there's going to be more. We'll see. Now, I know Nick Ellis likes these things. I fished this out of there too.
That's pretty cool.
You don't get a lot of McFarlane covers in the dollar bin, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you really don't.
And so it's probably, I haven't looked it up, but I imagine it's probably worth a little bit more than $1.
For dollar bin comics, those look like those are in really good shape.
Some of them are, yeah. The Star Trek one is pretty faded and beat up. This one I fished out for Aaron, because he's a big fan of this, the main character here. Hawkeye. Featuring Black Panther.
Huh.
Good stuff. And given that Aaron has a new job, and that's a pretty exciting new job, we can't talk about it, but it is tangentially related to this.
Did he get the job we kind of talked about off the air?
Yeah.
He did get it?
Yeah.
Good job, Aaron.
Yeah. And I also fished out, these are just a handful of them, but a whole bunch of Ultraverse books from back in the 90s. the
Yep.
Malibu Ultraverse. Man, I loved these books back in the 90s.
Prime.
I gotta tell you, this one right here, the formation of this new supergroup, I remember this so very fondly.
See, I don't remember that one, but I remember like Prime and was it
Hard Case,
Mantra?
Mantra was one of them.
And then didn't
Freaks, Sludge, Hard Case, Prototype, War Strike.
and didn't they tie Nightman into that?
Nightman was one of them. Yep. Yeah.
I
But,
never understood why Nightman got his own TV show.
Because he was really cool.
He was, but that was just out of that time frame. That was a bizarre comic book to pick for a TV show. Out of everything that was going on in comics, how did that one get picked up? I always wondered the story on that.
That's a good question. I would be curious too. But I have to say on this one, I remembered this so fondly, and I haven't read it in close to 30 years. And I reread it the other night, and I was like, oh, that has not aged well. Some parts of it have, other parts have not. And it's kind of like when Jim Lee was doing Wildcats, one of his main characters was a stripper.
Yep.
In this book, one of the main characters, so just so everybody knows how this happens. In the world of the Ultraverse, in this particular book, there's this event that happened, and suddenly some people got, I heard about that.
Yep.
But some people got, there was lightning bolts out of a clear blue sky, and boom, some people got powers. Nobody knows why, nobody knows how, and at first they don't even know that it happened. Right? It takes them a minute to figure out. Well, these particular people live in San Francisco. They're on a streetcar, and the streetcar gets hit, and some of the people on there get powers and some don't. One of those people is this character right here, her.
Yep.
She is, I'm trying to think of a nice way to say this. She is an android designed as a sex robot. And there's some wackadoo rich dude on this trolley car, like making out with her and grossing everybody out. The car gets hit by this lightning thing. She becomes sentient.
Huh.
And she has like powers, like electrical powers and such. But her code name she goes by is my favorite, which is Electrocute. Electrocute.
All right, I gotta give him credit. That was pretty good.
All the characters are pretty cool. This one that's kind of like Storm is awesome. It's some really fascinating characters. It was really cool. It was a great universe, but parts of that story did not age real well, which was unfortunate. Let's see, what else did I fish out of there? I pretty much dug anything out of there that was Ultraverse, because I've been on a real nostalgia kick for Ultraverse lately, which included more Prime. You don't get a blank cover for Prime often, so that one's cool. But Freaks #1, which was kind of like their X-Men.
Yep. I remember Freaks.
Solution, got a couple of issues of Solution. Prototype, which was their version of Iron Man, essentially.
Yep, I remember that one.
Let's see what else. Hard Case, which was like a movie star turned superhero guy. It was an interesting story. Got more Prime.
To me, he always kind of come across as their version of Booster Gold.
A
I don't
little bit.
know why.
A little bit. The blonde hair, probably, and the fact that he's on TV.
Yeah.
But War Strike, who was a later addition to the the Malibu Ultraverse. Got a handful of those, um, including number 1, which is like one of the most 90s covers ever.
Oh, yeah.
I've got big guns and I cannot lie. So yeah, just picked up a lot of those just because I wanted to read them. Another book I picked up, which I thought was an interesting one. It's one I missed somehow, crossover wise. It's written by Ron Mars and the art is by Bernie Wrightson.
Okay. I remember when they did Batman Aliens, but I don't think I ever read it. And that is beautiful cover.
Look at that. The monster in the mouth, and he's just like grabbing it, like, nope. Not gonna do it. Not gonna do it. Wouldn't be prudent at this juncture. So there's that.
Yeah, Kyle, we had to throw that Nightman out there right quick.
So then this was another book I dug out of there. It was a 4-issue limited series that came out from Dark Horse. And admittedly, I've never read it because I thought it just looked stupid. 100%. And I still think that now. I'll give it a shot, although it's just the one episode. This art is terrible. It's so very 90s, but not in the good way. And you probably did not know that this existed, and yet here it is.
Okay, I didn't know there was a G.I. Joe Dark Horse.
4-issue limited series. That's Cobra Commander.
He looks like
Death's Head from Marvel UK, but with a beret.
No, what was Buzz Lightyear's arch nemesis?
The Evil Emperor Zurg.
Yep, that's him right there.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Let's see. I thought I fished out a couple other things that I ended up accidentally bringing home. Oh no, I put them in their boxes. You remember the cover of, or not just the cover, but do you remember Protectors number 5 from Malibu back in the day? It wasn't an Ultraverse book. It was just a regular Malibu.
No, I don't remember that one.
Just do a Google search for Protectors number 5 and pull that image up. It's one of the classic 90s gimmicks. It's Chris Reese has kind of got a collection of like terrible 90s gimmicks, like Bloodstrike number 2, Rub the Blood. You remember that one? It was the heat sensitive thermal ink that if you like rubbed your finger across it, it would heat up and you could see the blood would come out looking like blood on the cover.
Yeah.
Well, he's got a whole bunch of them like that, but Protectors number 5. There we go.
I don't know why it popped up. Oh, probably because the.
Can you embiggen that? Here we go. Right in the middle. You see that hole?
It goes all the way through the comic.
It's an actual hole blown all the way through the comic. Now, what I did not remember was that came in a what you call it?
Polybag?
A polybag. Yeah, it came in a polybag, right? And on the polybag, it specifies. I always thought that was supposed to be a bullet hole. And on the polybag, it specifies that it's a force beam hole.
Okay.
And here's the dumb thing, right? Like, cool gimmick. You have a hole right through the middle of your comic. Had they worked the art around that, that would have been amazing. But instead, they put the comic together and then they just blew a hole through the front of it. And sometimes it cuts through word panels, word balloons, right through people's faces. They paid no attention to the inside of the art and what that was going to do to the book when they did it. It was very poorly done. Um, but we had one of those in there still in the poly bag. So I pulled that out for Chris. There was also a whole bunch of the summer they did the crossover between all of the DC annuals, and it was JL8.
JL8.
Yep, where they were all gorillas.
Yep.
There were a bunch of those in there, and I know Chris got a whole bunch of those too. But I got to tell you, dude, we got 10 boxes, so roughly 300 books per box times 10, so 3,000 comics. Hey, night, Kyle. Always good to see you, brother.
Night, Kyle. Did have you gone through all of them?
I did.
Were there any Daredevils in there?
Not to speak of.
Okay.
That's not technically true. There were a couple Daredevils that should not have been in there.
Okay, gotcha.
They were all 5 issues of Daredevil Man Without Fear.
Gotcha. Okay.
Which was a phenomenal series back in the 90s.
Because, I'm slowly but surely, I'm picking up Daredevils and G.I. Joes.
Yeah.
And I've got a list on my phone of both of like, hey, this is what I actually have. Or, Daredevil, it's a little easier to say this is what I don't have.
Yep.
Just because there's so friggin' many of them.
Yep.
And I've got to go through, and it's like every time I find a few minutes to where I can do it, to actually clean up my area of the house where all my comics and stuff are, it's like I just don't have the energy, and I just don't feel like doing it right now. I've got to go through and clean all that stuff up and update all my lists and everything.
There's a new Zatanna book coming out, Matt. I don't know if you've seen that, but it looks really good. But anyway, so we got in roughly 3,000 comics in 10 long boxes on Saturday. By the end of the weekend, I already sold 6 of those boxes.
You are cranking out those long boxes. You the same person?
Yeah.
Okay.
6 of those boxes. And then Wednesday, somebody came in and dropped $100 picking comics out of those boxes. When you got, I got 10 new long boxes, and I've already sold 6 of them. Yep. But when all of the books in the dollar box are from the some late 70s, 80s, and some 90s, that's just hitting at a good era. I mean, there was some good stuff in there.
If you can pull long box, dollar books from the 70s, people will pick those up in a heartbeat.
They have been. It's been glorious. Took forever for that last much. So the last time we got 12 boxes of them at the expo. We got them on Thursday. They went on sale on Friday, and we were totally out of 12 boxes by the end of Sunday. I did not see any He-Man in there, no. That's not to say it wasn't there. I wasn't looking for He-Man.
That expo, there were people, just flat. You would have thought there was gold at the bottom of those dollar bins they were going through at the expo.
Because there was. It was just little tiny, tiny nuggets.
I don't think that little section of the booth slowed down all weekend long.
No, it didn't. It was busy the whole time.
Totally off topic, and I'm actually looking at comics that are coming out next week.
Yep.
Have you ever read any of these Dune comics that they're putting out by Boom Studios?
I have not.
Okay. Oh, I was just curious because it looks like Dune House Carino issue 3 comes out next week.
Yep. I have not paid any attention to the Dune books whatsoever.
And I did want to read the House Harkonnen, but I realized that it was coming out way too late. I didn't.
Matt says he's been reading Dune.
Do what?
Matt Posey said he's been reading Dune.
Have they been good, Matt? Ooh.
So did you just now see Blue Hellion's
Yeah,
question?
I just now saw that. So literally, you can go pick up where Chip Zdarsky started and read the entire Chip Zdarsky run. Um, if you want just a quick little mini series to check out, it's not Matt Murdock, but it is actually Elektra. Check out Daredevil Gang War. Was really really good. Yeah, I'm kind of waiting to see because I like my Dune on the big screen. Um,
I would say
the,
that Daredevil Man Without Fear 5-issue limited series from the 90s was spectacular, and I would
yeah,
highly recommend that. Um, if
and
you
what,
can get your hands on it, the Frank Miller run on Daredevil back in the day was amazing. Really, really, really good. That was some of the early comics I read in the 80s when I was a kid, and I was just like, I didn't know you could do that to a superhero. I didn't know you could, like, Kingpin found out who he was, like who Daredevil was, and just destroyed his life. Utterly destroyed his life. He was without friends. He was without family. He was without anything. And he gave up. He thought he was without God, which for Matt Murdock is terrible. Utterly destroyed him. Utterly destroyed him. And watching him have to build himself back up from that was just so powerful. Um, Believe it or not, the Kevin Smith run on Daredevil was really good.
yep,
Um, the Brian Michael Bendis run with Alex Maleev on art was really good. The run with where David Mack was doing the covers was really good. Um, there have been a lot of really good Daredevil runs. Now, in the early going, particularly, there was a lot of not so great Daredevil. It took him a long time to kind of find out what he should be
yeah.
and who he should be, and then they'd find it, and then they'd lose it again for a little bit, and they would chase down some weird stuff. But uh, yeah, Daredevil is spectacular, and if it's not something you've ever read before, you're in for a treat. Um, if you
Now I
start
will
with,
do what?
I say, if you start with like the Frank Miller run, which is you should be able to find in trades probably.
Yep.
Uh, just to watch him, Dave Mazzucchelli on art did a beautiful job. He kind of conveyed Daredevil as like a thin guy, long torso, really acrobatic. Um, just did a phenomenal job. He kind of established for me what Daredevil should look like.
And
Uh,
if you really and truly wanted to jump like way back, and I know this is going to be sacrilege for some people, but I'll stand by it and I can back it up. Some of those books from the 60s, you don't buy those books and read them. You buy them to collect them. Um, but if you have the Marvel Unlimited app, go back to the 60s and read anything that Roy Thomas wrote for Daredevil.
oh yeah,
It was so much, and here's where the sacrilege comes in. Roy Thomas was the better Daredevil writer than Stan Lee.
I agree
Um,
with that.
the Stan Lee was, I mean, everybody that's read an actual Stan Lee comic understands his writing style. But
Mm-hmm.
Roy Thomas, if you read any of those from I want to say it was probably around 67, 68, maybe, when maybe a little bit closer to 70 when Roy Thomas was writing it some. So good.
No, don't sweat Kevin Smith on the art for Daredevil. I want to say Joe Quesada was doing the art during Kevin Smith's run. It's glorious.
Um, Matt, here's my thing on the Stan Lee books. Stan Lee, number one, first and foremost, God love him, God rest his soul, was extremely wordy. Um,
Yes.
but
So
in
is Tom King, in all honesty.
Yeah, but in Stan Lee's mind, and he even calls it out in those early books, flat out, Daredevil was a swashbuckler. That's literally what he referred to Daredevil as in the
Yep.
very beginning. Um, and then when he introduced the twin brother Matt Murdock, and
You mean Mike?
Mike Murdock, and you had to see he was doing like this wild and crazy personality, almost like it was just parts of it didn't work. It really didn't. And then Roy Thomas wrote a couple of issues in there, kind of filling in for Stan Lee because he did have so much going on, and it was just so much better when Roy Thomas was writing it. Now, I mean, granted, Stan Lee did give some classic stuff. I mean, literally, I mean, some of the best Daredevil moments he did kind of give us at that era, at that time. But
Mm-hmm.
Roy Thomas, and yeah, I know a lot of people kind of get tired of us talking about Chip Zdarsky books, but when you read Chip Zdarsky's Daredevil run, his name deserves to be in there
Yes.
with Stan Lee, Roy Thomas, Frank Miller. I mean, just with what he did with Daredevil, it was just his name deserves to be in there with the big boys.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was just that good. And that was another thing talking about this reminded me. Do you know why Ultimate Spider-Man was number one was really and truly such a good book? Because Father Matthew had a cameo.
That's true. That's true.
I got excited when I saw Father Matthew up there delivering a little speech.
So, Matt, you said the Energon universe has got you on your toes. Uh, this is how mad I am at those guys.
I got the
This
same
book
one.
right here is the exact same inside material that they gave away on Free Comic Book Day a week ago. And I paid money to order this book because I wanted this cover. I am such a hypocrite.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a hypocrite too, and it was worth every penny just to get that cover.
See, that's how I felt about it too.
Yeah.
Are you ready for what? You've never read a Daredevil book? Matt Posey. Matt, buddy.
Daredevil and the Punisher, Child's Games. Was that it? Was it Child's Games or
I
Children's?
don't remember.
That's going to drive me nuts.
But I do have one final topic that's a change of pace here. But
Right.
um, I decided to do something thinking I needed something that was a distraction, but wasn't going to be like I was going to get engrossed in it because I thought it was going to be good. And right, Blue Hellion, I'm with you. I'm disappointed in myself. It's like the third time I've done it in the past month too, and so I feel particularly hypocritical. Um, but I've done it. I'm bad. I know it's just terrible. But anyway, I did something that I expected to just absolutely find stupid and have no interest in because I needed something on as a distraction while I was working.
Mm-hmm.
Madam Web.
So that book was actually Daredevil and the Punisher Child's Play, and it was by Frank Miller. And we're just going to talk about something else other than Madam Web.
No.
Really?
Have you watched it?
No, I haven't.
It would have been a lot better had they explained in any way what it was. And if they had thought, like in their brains, to actually set it 30 years ago or 20 years ago, it's a prequel to Spider Man.
Okay.
And it builds on the the J. Michael Straczynski Spider Man story. the one that ended up so stupidly and that I hated it. But in the J. Michael Straczynski run, there was the spider people and the spider god and the wasp people and the wasp god,
Was that the
and they were
totems and stuff?
eternal enemies. Do what?
Was that the totems and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the premise of this movie. Is that stuff. And so you meet a young guy who is going out on his first date with somebody special. The guy's name is Ben, and the person he's going out with is May. They talk about the brother Richard and all this stuff, but it's all set in modern times. If they had said it in the past where it would have made sense, the whole timeline, where it belongs in the timeline, would have made a lot more sense. It was all dealing with the spider people and all this stuff. And if you know that Spider-Man story well, it actually makes sense and fits into the Spider-Man mythos way better than I ever expected. I thought it was going to be complete garbage. It was only like yesterday's garbage. It wasn't like last week's garbage where it was really rank. It was just yesterday's garbage where it was starting to get a little funny. But it wasn't by far not terrible. I have seen many worse movies than that, including, Venom, Carnage, the Green Lantern movie. Way, 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 way worse movies. This doesn't even crack my top 10 of worst comic book movies.
Well, you know that was it Dakota? What's her name?
Dakota North.
Dakota Fan. Is that who plays the girl? Who plays Madam?
It's what's his face? Johnson from Miami Vice. It's his daughter, Don Johnson's daughter.
I mean, I can picture her face. I just can't think of her name.
Is it Dakota Johnson? Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Dakota Johnson. I saw an interview with her.
Yeah, Wonder Woman 84 was terrible. You're right. That was way worse.
I saw an interview with her, and even she said that when they asked about Madam Web, even she said, "Oh, I knew when we were filming and it was a bad movie."
It ends up with her in the wheelchair, unable to move, wearing the weird glasses and all that stuff. So that's where it ends up.
Yeah.
So she would be the older woman who's kind of housebound like she is in the comics when you meet her, right? The other thing that it does is it introduces 3 different female characters from the Spider-Man universe or Spider-Man mythos. And one of them is Spider-Woman, but not Jessica Drew Spider-Woman. It's the other one that was in West Coast Avengers.
Yeah.
I forget her name now.
And everybody that I know that's seen it said the only thing they liked about it was the way her suit looked.
Which did look pretty great. But you only see it for a split second because it's never in the present time period of the story.
Yeah.
But if you know the Spider-Man storyline, the mythos there that J. Michael Straczynski created and injected into Spider-Man, it's not a terrible movie. It's not a good movie, but it's not a terrible movie. I mean, do you remember the character of Ezekiel from the comics?
Barely.
He's the main antagonist.
Isn't he the one that was basically trying to? Wasn't he trying to kill Peter at one point so they could so he could kind of take his power?
Yep.
And didn't they bring him into the newer Spider-Man for one issue?
Probably. I don't know. I haven't read the newer Spider-Man forever.
Well, I think it was when they put the dome over New York and he had to fight all of his enemies. It was right around that time frame.
Probably.
Yeah, I could have swore he was in. Yeah, no, I know who you're talking about.
But yeah, it was surprising. I expected it to be absolute bottom of the trash heap, one of the worst comic book movies I've ever seen. And like I said, it doesn't even crack my top 10 for worst comic book movies I've ever seen.
Yeah. I don't know. I might get around to it.
It had just enough of that particular storyline from J. Michael Straczynski that I recognized what they were trying to do. So maybe I'm a little more forgiving because I saw what they were trying to do.
So let's do this. Was it better or worse than Thor: Love and Thunder?
Better.
Okay, see, I still haven't seen Thor: Love and Thunder because of how awful everybody said it was.
Thor: Love and Thunder is terrible. I think it's pretty objectively terrible. Um, again, they were trying something there and it just didn't work. The whole story of Thor: Love and Thunder is told by what's his name, Korg, the rock dude.
Yeah, it's supposed to be told from like a child's perspective, isn't it?
It's him telling the story to kids.
Gotcha.
And it's all from Korg's perspective, and so it's kooky and weird. But they don't do a good job of setting that up, and even if they did, who wants to see that? It was just a miscalculation on their part. It was a terrible, terrible miscalculation on their part. But yeah, if you want to see some Easter eggs and some like, oh, okay, I remember that through line from Amazing Spider-Man back during that time period.
Yeah.
And if you can forgive it for what it was trying to be, because it was trying to be a prequel 20 years early. And conceptually, it could have worked. Execution-wise, it failed.
Yeah.
But conceptually, it could have worked. So I may be more forgiving of it than other people because of that. But I just wanted to bring it up and let you know you've seen worse movies than that one.
I mean, it's one of those I might check it out sooner or later. When I first saw the trailers for it, I wanted to see it. I thought, hey, that looks like it might be fairly decent. I don't know why they're doing this movie. That's not a character I would have picked to base an entire movie on.
No.
But I mean, I kind of wanted to see it, and then everybody started trashing it. And then when the star of the movie comes out and makes a comment about, I knew it was bad from the very beginning, that right there just made me not want to watch it, just based on that alone.
And that's fair.
Because it's one of those, if you knew it was bad, then why did you take the job?
For the money.
I mean, I understand everybody's got bills to pay, but she should still have some of that 50 Shades money left. She shouldn't need too much money right now.
50 Shades of Green.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, it had plot holes. It had story holes. But like I said, I could see what they were trying to do. And what they were trying to do wasn't terrible. You're not wrong, Blue Hellion. The first part of Love and Thunder was just a bad music video. Yeah, you're totally on board with that. But yeah, it's like I said, doesn't even crack my top 10 on bad movies. So there you have it. That's my hot take. It's my Nick Ellis hot take.
I don't think that's really a hot take.
Hey, I didn't hate something everybody else hated. And I had the guts to go online and say it. Maybe that'll get us some views.
Actually, I saw a good one today, and I was at work and I could not send it to y'all, but it was a picture. I wanted to send it to y'all because I thought it was a true hot take, but it was a picture of a young Jack Kirby, and he's kind of sitting there, and across the picture it says, "Hello, my name is Jack Kirby. I'm the man that created Stan Lee." And I was like,
Spicy.
that would hurt a little bit.
Yeah, that's pretty good. But yeah, I think that's it for me for this week. We do have some guests that we are trying to get lined up to come on the show, and they are some pretty awesome guys. Uh, uh, Pretty awesome guests, guys. So, can we get a Josh hot take of Alan wearing wrestling mask? Do you own a luchador mask, Alan? I bet you look good in one.
I do not own a luchador mask. You know, I almost bought one when we was in Cozumel one year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of those, you know, when you get off the cruise ship and you walk through the duty-free place and you got all the stuff in Cozumel. For whatever reason, right outside this one shop, it was like one wall was nothing but luchador masks, and the other wall was like nothing but tequila. So I was.
How do you not just pull something off both walls?
I know, it was one of those things, and I mean, I stood there and talked to the guy for a pretty good while. He was actually pretty cool. But yeah, I probably should have bought a luchador mask when we was there.
Well, it's not too late. There's this thing called the internet.
I know, but then I don't know. I mean, sometimes when I buy stuff, I just want it to come from the actual place, you know?
I get that. What color mask would be good? I don't know what goes with that pasty skin.
I would say a nice red and gray mask.
I was gonna say you need something with a good bright blue on it to counteract because you got a little bit of a red going on with your beard, just a little bit.
I really do.
So,
Well, except for right through here, and that's just nothing but gray.
Dude, preach, man! Look at that. Nothing but gray. And it's all this one stripe down the middle. It looks like Rogue touched me on the beard. She just went like swipe.
Now, my wife thoroughly wasted some money a few weeks ago, and she bought Just for Men, thinking that I was going to use it on my beard.
Did you use it on your back hair? I mean,
I've used it absolutely none whatsoever. And I'm here to tell you, yes, every once in a while, I will just trim this down, but it's still a small beard there. It's not like this. And I am getting to the point where I'm about to trim it down again. But if you ever see me completely and totally clean shaven again, it's because she got a hold of me with that Just for Men.
I've asked my wife if she thought I needed to do that. She's like, no. And I said, good, because I'm not.
I just leave it the way it is.
But yeah, it's funny because it's all this one patch right here. And not here, just not even underneath. Underneath is not so bad. But yeah, that's all. So it looks like I just have gone, like I just bleached and I laid my chin out in the sun for too long. But anyway, this is a good spot to end it. Hey, everybody that watched tonight, we really appreciate it. If you're watching later, we appreciate you too. Really do. And Matt Posey, I don't know if you know this, but you, my friend, won our secret giveaway for the night, and you get a $25 gift card to Haven Comics. So congratulations, Matt Posey. You do still have to be watching to claim it, though.
Oh, those little caveats is what we get them with all the time.
That's right. If you don't know you won it, you didn't win it.
And Matt Posey, take that $25 gift card and get these 2 books plus a Daredevil book.
That's a really good plan. That's a good plan. Solid. I like it. But hey, everybody, we appreciate you guys tuning in and watching. We really appreciate you jumping in the comments and making it interactive. We love that. And we're going to have some good guests to announce here pretty soon. So be on the lookout for that. Otherwise, we will catch you guys next time. And we're looking forward to it because we always have a good time with this. Oh, yeah, we are signing off now, Kaylisa.
I'll see you tomorrow.
We did not need HR for anything tonight. We've been behaving ourselves, I promise. All right. Good night, everybody.